Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It is FPC Radio Live. It's Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023. And, well, John, it's probably the last thing that we wanted to have to discuss following, Aaron Rodgers' debut with the Jets. But look, I mean, we'll get to the actual game because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to that. And it turned out to be a pretty exciting game there towards the end. But obviously we're all wondering and talking and discussing what looks like to be a pretty devastating and at the very least season ending injury for Aaron Rodgers, who lasted all 4 snaps. I mean, that's it, John. 4 snaps.
Incredible. I mean, when you look at this, there's been other quarterbacks that have had similar injuries. Dan Marino in 1993, he was 33 years old. He came back and still had, a final 5 or 6 years where he was really productive, but he was 33. Also, Vinny Testaverde, I believe, was 36 when he ruptured his Achilles and was never the same after that. Now Rodgers is going to be 40 in December. Is he going to rehab this? How difficult is it going to be to rehab? Now, again, this is 20, 25 years, 30 years since those injuries, so medical advances have happened. But, there's so many things that run through your mind. First of all, I know a lot of people have talked about the field at MetLife Stadium, which is considered one of the worst in the league. Like, you're talking about, ownership that has billions of dollars. And Aaron Rodgers played in Green Bay, which is the best field in the NFL, because they only play Packers games at Lambeau Field. They don't have concerts. They don't have anything else there because they don't have an owner. And also, if you have 2 teams sharing a stadium, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but if you have 2 teams sharing a stadium, like the Giants and Jets, does it make sense to have them play back-to-back days? Like, I know the schedule is 18 weeks. You could have them play alternating weeks. I know the Chargers and Rams also share SoFi. I think that would make some sense. I'm not saying that that's the reason that this happened. I also think that he is somewhat culpable because from what we're understanding, the play was supposed to be a quick release, get rid of the ball quickly. And as he's had a tendency to do throughout his career, he has a tendency to hold on to the ball a little bit too long. And this is what happened. But this is all stuff that, runs through your mind, 12 hours or less than a little over 12 hours since it happened. But yeah, it's just unfortunate because it almost feels like that position for the Jets is like the drummer in this is Spinal Tap. Like, no matter who you put there, it just doesn't work out. And now we got some juicy rumors.
Yeah,
Mr. Brady goes to the Jets.
No, look, Peyton Manning said it best yesterday. That I think would be illegal, and I don't think Brady would ever. You know what I mean? Like, he spent too much time in New England to ever go, ring chasing with the Jets. You know what I mean? Like that would not be not something that he would do. But no, it is. It's a very unfortunate thing because again, the elephant is in the room is his age, and you wonder, could this be it? Because does he? And you mentioned the rehab. Does he want to go through that? Does he want now? Right now, my gut is saying I think he'll be back because I got to believe that the competitor in him feels that this can't be it. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like he's going to challenge himself to get out there and make sure he plays some sort of significant snaps for the Jets at some point. The problem is that window that you had with the Jets. I mean, that's all but gone because the reality of it is, John, I don't think he's remotely going to be close to anything to what he is now. And going into the season, it wasn't like he was still at the top of his game. So it's unfortunate, John. It really, really is. And it's like, look, I'm as a Patriots fan, I will take every opportunity in the world to poke fun at the Jets, laugh at their misery, wallow in their defeats, everything. Obviously, for the player, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Whether you like the guy or not, it's unfortunate to see any player go out. I mean, we saw J.K. Dobbins the other day on Sunday, another injury, ruptured Achilles as well. But this is a kid who's just suffered through so much early on. But just a just an unfortunate situation for the Jets. And, you wonder, are they cursed, John? Are they? I mean, really, what did Joe Namath have to do? Did he what part of what did he have to sell to get that Super Bowl III victory? It seems to have impacted generations of Jets fans.
Yeah, because you built a really good team. That defense is truly elite. I mean, if that's not the best defense in football, it's in the discussion as one of the top 3 defenses in football. Garrett Wilson's an outstanding wide receiver. We saw Brees Hall come back last night and
he looked
like
great
he did as a rookie. The concerns I had going into the season, aside from Aaron Rodgers, what level of play you were going to get from him, was the offensive line. And I'm not going to blame the offensive line, although he got hit in 2 of the 4 plays that he was able to run as a member of the New York Jets. But again, at times he holds the ball too long, and this is what happens. I mean, we've seen Tom Brady for 20 plus years get rid of the ball quickly. Remember when they played the Chargers in the playoff game 5 years ago, and Joey Bosa was like, I can't get him. Like, I'm beating the tackle. I'm doing everything I can, but that guy gets rid of the football too quickly. That's what you're supposed to do as a quarterback. Remember when Peyton Manning would just go down when there was an on-rusher, people would laugh at him and say, no, that's the smart play. Live to fight another day. We're seeing that with Josh Allen, who decides he wants to get into wrestling matches with the opposing players. And how long is his career going to
last? Look, we're going to get to Josh Allen. Trust me. I'm a lot of dumb football. That's the best way I can put it. Dumb football from Josh Allen. We're going to get to in a minute, but something else. And this is why it's like, I really do enjoy listening to Peyton and Eli on their broadcast was, early on when the Jets were starting to kind of get some momentum going on the ground. Eli was talking about taking a shot, and Peyton was like, no. You keep running the ball. Get rid of the ball quickly. No shots. No shot. And it's like, it's a great lesson in listening to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, because the fantasy football watcher or the general fan is probably agreeing with Eli, saying, oh, this is the chance. You just go deep. Try deep. No, you don't, because as Peyton said, it either ends in an incompletion or a turnover or an injury so far for the Jets to go back and drop and pass, and rightfully so. What they ended up doing is they kept running the ball and they scored. So that was clearly their best thing, especially early on. And again, this is what the Jets are going to be. They're going to be a running team. There's an outside chance that, like, look, maybe this is going to be a Zach Wilson redemption season. But maybe he comes in and he settles things down. He had that kind of, opening off season. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, just take a step back, and, look, he has an opportunity. And, going to the actual discussion of the game, he took advantage of it and they won, John. The Jets, of all the things they could have done, I mean, there's the one silver line. They actually won the game. And it was impressive how they did it. Now, greatly aided by the play of Josh Allen, who, like you just mentioned a moment ago, he played dumb football from start to finish. And by that, it's not just the interceptions. There was, actually, that first interception, and I made a comment about it, was I called it dumb football because, well, on initial viewing of the play, it looked like he had no one in front of him, and he could have easily ran for the first down. But what did he do? He threw I have no idea what he was thinking, because he threw essentially to a Jets defense, Whitehead. He was playing catch with Whitehead all night, 3 interceptions. And it was not just like unfortunate bad luck. It was just bad decision-making, poor decision-making. And like, there was a play, I can't remember exactly when, but kind of what you alluded to. He had the ball, he got hit, didn't go down, and tried to play like he was a running back. And again, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, that's just dumb football. Like, nothing Josh Allen was doing. And to me, like, I'm not, like, normally sit back, okay, week 1, you don't over. This is, I mean, alarms are going off in my head right now, John. And if you're a Bills fan, alarming, because I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, how Josh Allen played.
Yeah, I mean, since the start of last year, he's thrown 20 interceptions, which is the most in football. He's
39 turnovers. altogether.
Right.
So it's not
Yeah,
just that; it's
exactly.
the fumbles and everything like that.
Yep. Yeah, ball security is doesn't appear to be a priority for a guy who's a big, strong guy. But we see these big, strong quarterbacks who, whether it was Ben Roethlisberger or Cam Newton, and Ben Roethlisberger had a long career, but kind of waned at the end. But he was able to beat you from the pocket a little bit
Mhm.
more than say Cam Newton or Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen can beat you from the pocket. I mean, his legs are important to what he offers, but it's not going to be a long career because he's going to get hit and hit and hit, and he's challenging people instead of just learning to get out of bounds, slide, live to play another day because you're that important. He's the whole offense. I mean, they don't even have a running game outside of him. And also let's not forget that he really grew as a player with Brian Daboll as his offensive coordinator. Well, Daboll went to the Giants last year as the head coach, and we saw a regression in play from Josh Allen last year. And after one game this year, even more regression. So obviously he misses Brian Daboll. Ken Dorsey, his new offensive coordinator a year ago, doesn't appear to be at the same level as Daboll as a coach. So I think he obviously misses his offensive coordinator from 2018 through 2021.
Yeah, and look, this isn't to me a sometimes there's an adjustment period. Sometimes you can the play may be sloppy, but you can kind of tell that like look, there's some communication issues with the offense, and that's why some of these plays aren't. No, a lot of this is just like I said, dumb backyard football play. Like like I said, going back to that, I think it was the first interception. And I saw a screenshot of it later. He was about 7 or 8 yards short, I think, of the first down, and no one in front of him. And for someone who runs as recklessly as he does, to not take off and get that first down and instead just huck the ball up in some sort of desperate heave, like again, that checks every dumb football checkbox if there was a list. Probably twice, to be honest with you. And it was just decision after decision and just again, it's 1 week. He could go out next week and look like a stud and throw 5 touchdowns and be perfect and all that stuff. But John, I'm concerned. I am very, very concerned, not only with his clear regression, but I just don't know if the Bills are going to be good enough to overcome it because, well, they had every opportunity in the world last night to win, and they didn't. And despite the poor quarterback play, I just thought they were not. Look, I think this was a team that bought into their hype last year, 100%, and got hit in the mouth. Had some unfortunate things happen, no doubt about it. You could argue that they were well on their way to the number 1 seed, but the Damar Hamlin situation happened, and you can't control that. It is what it is. But I'm looking at a Bills team that could be teetering, especially if Miami is going to play consistently great like this on offense. I'm not going to say they're a great team, but if they're going to be a consistently great offense like this, that's going to cause the Bills some problems because they're not going to be able to compete, I think, offensively if you're going to get this type of quarterback play.
Yeah, I mean, and when you mentioned Miami's going to be in every game because even if they're down 2, 3 scores, they can come back. We saw that last year early in the season against Baltimore. They have 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I mean, they just have such a quick strike offense that they're never out of a game. Now you've got the Jets with Zach Wilson. We'll see if they add a veteran quarterback, which they have to do because they're going to need someone to back him up. And there's, rumors floating out there that 20 different veteran quarterbacks might be in play from Nick Foles to Matt Ryan to whoever. But yeah, that's going to be a concern, obviously, for the Jets going forward. And now Buffalo, which the quarterback has really regressed. I mean, we talked about it's interesting after 1 week that the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills are all 0-1, and everyone's been in agreement that those are the 3 best quarterbacks in the AFC, obviously. But again, it's still very early in the season. But this is something that happened last year with Josh Allen. This isn't just a one-off, a bad night to start the season. We saw a lot of games like this last year with red zone interceptions. And maybe he's just not an instinctual player that he just doesn't process at the same level that the great quarterback.
And that doesn't make you a great problem. Yeah, and that doesn't make you a great quarterback. You can have all the physical talent. You can make these awe plays and be stronger than it. But if you don't have that, you're not a great quarterback, and you don't win without a great quarterback in this league. So,
and do you remember the playoff game a few years ago against Houston? Where he was like getting tackled and he decides to lateral like 20 yards behind. Like just crazy stuff. That's like You
And
can't do that. You got
and
to
it's
be
like,
more conservative.
and sometimes it's like, okay, you can chalk it up to like, all right, before he was getting a lot of slack because he had to carry a lot of the load, but at a certain point though, you got to see, like I said, I mean, he just didn't play smart football yesterday,
No.
and all of a sudden, I think now you have Miami again. They're a threat, and let's be honest, John, the Patriots. They looked good on. I know they lost the game, and it's the only moral victory I'm going to take all season. Let's be clear here. I'm not going to sit here and live off moral victories all year, but that looked like. I mean, Mac Jones looked really, really good. If you look at his spread, his spray chart, like in baseball where you see where you hit all your home runs. When you see where he made it, he was hitting passes all over the field, John. Every one of his touchdowns was beyond a significant amount of yardage. So again, he was delivering the ball around the field, and that's a great early sign for someone who we've said all off season is kind of the really the biggest factor whether or not this Patriots team is going to be a playoff contender or not. And early on, again, like I said, they lost to the defending NFC champions, by the way. But they came out of that having a lot of positives, whereas the Bills lost, and you're probably sitting here thinking like, oh, they got some problems. They got a lot of problems that, yeah, maybe they struggle. Maybe it's just the Jets defense. Maybe that's what it is that makes them struggle. But again, uh, having a tough time against an opponent doesn't necessarily force you to play dumb football. You can still play smart and still struggle. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like again,
Oh, sure.
some of these decisions again and plays by Josh Allen are independent of what's happening in the game. It's just him making these decisions, and that's something that if he doesn't stop and he keeps turning the ball over, they're never going to go to a Super Bowl, let alone win one. I mean, hell, they'd be lucky to get out of the divisional round. So
Yeah, I mean, is he going to string together 3 good playoff games? Maybe one, maybe a half of another, but is he going to be able to come through with the big situations? It almost seems like he reached his apex in that divisional round loss to Kansas City
yeah,
a couple of years ago. One of the best
absolutely.
games we've ever seen. He was phenomenal. I mean, he and Patrick Mahomes were both incredible. When that game ended, I'm like, holy crap, the league is in really good shape with these two guys and also with Joe Burrow, who ended up beating Mahomes the following week, going to the Super Bowl. Like, you're all set with these guys. But again, you have to be consistent at that position, and sometimes his mechanics go off the charts. And I think at times, and I've talked to some Buffalo Bills fans, he gets so amped up that he doesn't like focus in on what his job is to do. Now, we remember Brady would get amped up before games,
Right.
and sometimes you'd see like his first series, he'd sail a few passes because he was so charged up, but then he ramped it down and was in total control after that. So, that's something Josh Allen's going to have to do, but that just may be his personality. You can't change a player's personality, which has a lot to do with how they are as a performer.
Yeah, and again, especially at the quarterback position, because it's such a it's just such a unique position in a incredibly massive team sport. You know, um,
Mhm.
this we're not going to get into this discussion because that's generally saved for the off season. But it speaks volumes as to why wins and losses matter to a quarterback. I mean, again, you can sit there and find wins and losses that don't necessarily tell the whole story, of course. But the big picture is you win more with great quarterbacks and you lose more with bad ones, and that it doesn't matter who you have around them. And the funny thing is, I heard this comment after the game, and it's such a departure from the revisionist history we got with Brady and the Bucks. It was like someone was talking about with all the talent that Jets have, it doesn't really matter if they don't have the quarterback. And I'm sitting here saying, thank you. I don't
Mhm.
care what you have on defense, what you have on offense. If you don't have, again, the great elite quarterback, or if you do not catch lightning in a bottle and get one great season, like out of one player, that quarterback, then you're not going to win anything in this league. I don't care how much talent you have on offense, on defense, all that stuff. So it's It's like I said, it's unfortunate for the Jets. I feel for Aaron Rodgers because again, I may combat their fans quite a bit, but at the same time, I can understand that this is not a great situation for him to be in, and like I said before, I do feel like my gut tells me he's going to give it a shot to come back. I don't think he's going to call it now, because I don't know. I just cannot see him saying, and I know it's tough because look, he's going to be 41 essentially, probably by the time he starts taking meaningful snaps again. Um, I just can't see him accepting this. And now the comeback may fall short. I mean, I'm not saying like he may physically not be able to come back from this. There's
Yeah,
that possibility.
sure. There's a lot of money on the table, which, obviously you want to try to get through it, come back next year because there is money on the table. I don't know how all that works in terms of if the injury causes the retirement, is he entitled to some of the money? He's made a ton of money. I get that. But that's not the way you want to end your career, sitting on the turf at MetLife Stadium with your Achilles rolling up its calf. And that's it. A great career.
Well, and especially
I'm old enough to,
yeah. Well, I was going to say,
I'm old
especially
enough to
not
remember Joe
yeah.
Theismann, in 1985. I mean, but he was 37 at the time, and he wasn't coming back from that. That was just like, or Alex Smith, who did come back from a gruesome injury. But, every injury is different. And then players are at different points in their life where, is it worth it to try to come back?
Right.
I think he will attempt it.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I got to believe that he's going to attempt it because just 4 plays, John. That's it. 4. I mean, he didn't even hit the half-yard prop. Give me. You know what I mean? Like not like Brady at least threw 76 yards before Bernard Pollard blew his knee out. You know what I mean? And then and at that point we don't even we look at 2008 as like a loss. I mean, again, this is someone. And again, this is kind of where a little bit of dark humor kind of sets in, and I can't help myself, but appreciate the cleverness of it. But someone reposted the video of him running out with the flag, and it captioned it Aaron Rodgers season highlights. And I'm like, I appreciate the wit. I do. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Like it's a clever, but at the same time, it's a harsh reality because like all of a sudden you're like, oh wait a minute. Yeah, no, that is it. I mean, there's really no doubt that was not going to be just a little bit of a ding up, and you kind of brought it up before. I mean, it should have been a quick play. I mean, go back to the Anthony Barr play, another situation where Aaron Rodgers had the ball for a while. Now, I don't necessarily remember the specifics of the beginning of that play, so I'm not saying one way or the other that he held on to the ball too long. But the point is it happened outside of the pocket with him roaming, not inside. You know what I'm saying? And again, it just further emphasizes the risks, especially at that position outside of the pocket. And again, it speaks to Brady's greatness and how he was able to obviously maximize his talent inside the pocket. And like you said about Peyton Manning, I mean, you chuckle at it now when he just like flopped like a dummy, but it was smart. It was smart.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. People would say, oh, look at how soft he is. I'm like, no, he's going to get up and have another series and play the rest of the game and have a long season and probably win an MVP, right? You don't want your quarterback getting hurt by trying to be this macho guy. And Rodgers has had pretty much 4 significant injuries in his career. He broke each of his collarbones. The first one was in 2013 against the Bears on a Monday night game where he ran and he got tackled inside the 10. The Anthony Barr one was 2017. He was outside the pocket. I didn't think it was a dirty hit. People thought it was. I didn't. I mean, it's football, whatever. The following year, remember against the Bears on opening night, he had his knee kind of, blown up a bit by, I believe it was Khalil Mack. Again, clean play, but then he came back out and they won the game in quite a comeback. And then he played the rest of the year, but he wasn't quite right. And then, of course, last night. But, when Brady got injured, he was only 31 years old.
Yeah.
right? And that was a knee, which, you can kind of recoup from that. The Achilles is just a really weird thing. Some athletes just don't recover from that. And again, he's 10 years older than Brady was at that time.
And again, the way he plays the position too, like it's you hope for the best. You really do. You want to see him out there. You want to see him actually take meaningful snaps with the Jets, or at least not have it end like this. Because again, it's going to be one of those 20 years down the line. You're talking, oh, remember when Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps and that was it, and then he just kind of retired. And it's like you don't necessarily want that, but to me, I look at it. I'm like, this is why you can't make these assumptions about players so far down the line. And by that, I'm talking mostly about the whole Patrick Mahomes hype and how, oh yeah, he's obviously going to pass all of Brady. Well, no, I mean, trust me, playing into your 40s or close to your 40s. I mean, John Elway retired at 38 years old. And he looked like he was 85 by the time he retired,
Yeah.
So like Joe Montana, I mean 36, right? Was it 36 or 37? So
right in that neighborhood, yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's like and obviously, their era of football was a little bit more physical, but Tom Brady played in a very physical era as well. It's like this beginning of his career was essentially the same as Dan Marino's and John Elway's. There really wasn't much difference.
Yeah, only a couple years after those guys retired, yeah.
And there really wasn't during that time. The significant rule changes came post 2004, and then, things obviously opened up with, different rules saying you can't do this, you can't do that, which obviously has an effect on the defense and how you play. I mean, hell, we see it now. Like, look at, that Patrick Mahomes run where he kind of got bumped in the back afterwards. Players were afraid to hit him. It's like, what do you do? Like, if you tap them, you get a penalty. Before, it's like, okay, you start running around in the middle of the field, like, you got to go to the bathroom. Well, guess what? You're going to get lit up,
Mm-hmm.
Now that doesn't happen. So, yeah, it's tough. That's why it's like, appreciate Patrick Mahomes' career because, this is a guy who runs around too, just like Rodgers. And what's going to happen if, he has a Monday night game against the Bears, quote unquote, so to speak, not specifically the Bears, but you know what I'm saying, where, someone lands on him awkwardly because he was running, think about it, running outside the pocket and doing some, crazy whip across the field. And what if he gets hit and gets landed on awkwardly? What,
Yeah, I mean,
so
we're talking about gigantic human beings. There's 22 of them on the field at the same time. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. I'm trying to think of another athlete who you had this incredible buildup with a new team, and then it happened.
Gordon Hayward,
and like, yeah, I mean, I think Rodgers is a different.
Oh yeah, sure,
but no, yeah, that's a real good one. Yeah, that was 5 minutes into his first game with the Celtics. That makes a lot of sense. I'm so old, I'll remember that Bobby Orr went to the Chicago Blackhawks in 1976 at 28 years old, but he'd had so many knee operations. He lasted 10 games. And it was just, it was sad. It was really sad. But that was just kind of like a degenerative type thing where, the knees just weren't responding. And this was kind of a one-off here. But the Gordon Hayward one, yeah, that makes sense. He was able to come back, but never the same.
Oh,
he was much younger than Rodgers at that point, probably 12 years younger than Rodgers is now. So, yeah, that's one that was one of the most gruesome things I've ever seen when Gordon Hayward ended up just shattering his leg back in 2017. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough road for Rodgers because, again, of the age.
And like, look, I mean, this has a lot of implications beyond just the Jets because now all of a sudden, are you looking at the AFC East a little bit differently than you did, say, 2 days ago, like Saturday? Remember when we were talking about the AFC East and, well, we think it's the Bills. I mean, the standings could be completely turned upside down because now all of a sudden, this is, again, reacting to all we've seen in week 1. But I might put some money down on the Patriots to win the division because why the hell not? They probably have the longest. Well, actually, Jets probably have the longest odds now because, well, at this point everyone realizes that Rodgers is going to be out for the season. But why the hell not, John? Because like if they play as good a defense as they had, and what we saw from this offense was what we're going to see moving forward, which I believe if it is, you're going to build off of it as the season goes on. So they're going to clean up some of the little mistakes. Um, why the hell not, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more wide open now because obviously with Rodgers going down, the way the Bills played last night, I wasn't that high on the Bills anyway. I picked them second in the division. Miami looked really good, but they only won by 2 points against the Chargers, who have a tendency of losing all those close games. So, yes, Miami's offense is impressive, but, defensively, they maybe have some shortcomings there. So now you have the Patriots.
I can tell you right now, the Patriots by far have the best coach. I mean, McDermott's stock has been kind of plummeting for a while. I wouldn't say plummeting, but certainly dipping pretty steadily because, obviously early on, there was a lot of good things that happened, but we've seen kind of the curtain get pulled back and he seems to be a little bit more on the complaining side. You know what I mean? Like his focus seems to be not so much where it should be sometimes. And again, I mean, you're the head coach. You got to get Josh Allen to stop playing the way he's playing. I understand that it's, maybe it's, you say it's like, well, they need him to run. Well, just build the team better, do something better to not have your quarterback do that because you're just as big of the problem. You think Bill Belichick is going to keep, have Josh Allen keep doing that if he was his quarterback? No. It's like, I mean, you can't, because like you said, I mean, his career is going to, like, I don't think he's as sturdy as Ben Roethlisberger. And we saw what happened with Ben Roethlisberger over time. You know what I'm saying? Like, like a lot of people remember the last couple of years of Roethlisberger, but he was an elite quarterback early in his career. I mean, this is a guy that was right up there with plenty of the elite passers and everything like that. And he was just a house. Now, Josh Allen's a big guy, but again, each week that passes, I get further and further away from putting him into any sort of best quarterback in the league conversation. And that would have been crazy to me a year plus ago because, well, I think we all kind of assumed like, yeah, this kid's coming. This kid is like he's grown each year. Those first 3 years, he went from struggling to growing a little bit to really taking that next step, and now it's become a palindrome, John. It's just going in reverse. It's going to look the same exact way.
Coaching matters. Yep. Brian Daboll obviously got the best out of Josh Allen. It's kind of like his binky. And now that Ken Dorsey's the offense coordinator, or was the offensive coordinator last year, he's regressed. And again, there are some quarterbacks. Obviously, it doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is. Obviously, Brady. I think Rodgers, in his prime, Peyton Manning. I mean, they felt like the de facto offensive coordinators. But for a young guy who's still raw that needs that, we'll see. Now, maybe we'll see something with Patrick Mahomes without Eric Bieniemy.
Good point.
That could be something that we see. Matt Nagy is someone that I think a lot of people respect all that much. And the difference in Kansas City is you still have Andy Reid there. Now, with Josh Allen, he has a defensive-minded head coach. So that's not his expertise, offense, Sean McDermott. So, now a lot more falls on that offensive coordinator. But the head coach still has to kind of take the reins and just say, look, we need you. We can't have you doing all these crazy things. Settle for the 7-yard check down. You don't have to force the ball into traffic. Yes, you have a great arm, but just take little steps and we'll be fine.
Well, and that's that kind of just, the big picture is like, quarterback play isn't about arm strength and flashy plays. It's about making the right ones and the smart ones. And if you listen to Peyton and Eli talk yesterday, you'll know why one was a 5-time MVP and the other was, well, a guy who won just as many games as he lost because, look, both very talented, clearly. But I really thought that discussion about Eli saying you need to take a shot and Peyton saying no, I think that made a big impact on me, John. That kind of really, stuck out because I was like, yeah, no, this is why Peyton Manning's a 5-time MVP and considered one of the probably 3 or 4 greatest quarterbacks of all time. So that's smart. Forget about your stats. Who cares about, the big play? It's the smart one and it's the right one. And that's something that Josh Allen doesn't seem to be able to make. like that. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, we're running out of time, so we're gonna wrap. We're gonna nip this in the butt here. Fun little AFC East discussion essentially, and like I said, don't find some good odds. Maybe you throw a little bit down on the Patriots, because why the hell not, John? Because this division is going to be, I think, kind of turned upside down here moving forward. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow or Thursday. I will tentatively tomorrow, but possibly just on Thursday. And we will talk to you then. So thank you everyone, and have a great day.